It's time we give back. Sow a seed and show someone where love's at. Even if you don't give a dime, give your heart and share your time. Help somebody else in life. Give back. Let's give back.
I want to thank you for joining us for this episode of Ignite, Empower, Transform, where we showcase urban superheroes here in the Bronx and around the world. I am your host, Hosea James Givan II. Today, we are initiating a very special project that is near and dear to my heart, the Black Men's Roundtable. Here, we will discuss issues pertinent to Black men specifically. Here we go. Yes, we have our first guest, Mr. Derrick Baker. He is a marketing, communication, and public relations professional out of Chicago, Illinois. Welcome, Derrick.
Good morning, Hosea, Mark, Ronald, and all of our viewers. I'm happy to be here.
And next we have Mr. Mark Pollard, who is an attorney and a professor at Medgar College. Welcome, Mark.
Peace, everybody. Thank you so much, Hosea. Thank you for inviting me. Glad to be here. Good to meet you, Brother D and Brother Ronald.
Yes, sir.
And finally, out of London, England, we have Ronald Sewell, who is a consultant for the government, and he focuses on crime initiatives as it relates to young people. Welcome, Ronald.
Welcome. Good morning. Always a pleasure to do these shows with you, Hosea. So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, brothers, we're gonna open up, man. 2020 was an incredibly intense year. We dealt with so many issues from, I guess about a year ago to today. We lost Kobe Bryant, and from Kobe on, it was just a tumultuous year with all kinds of incidents from George Floyd to our former president, or soon to be former president, all the racial unrest in between. Brothers, I want to open up with a wellness check. How are you brothers doing? And how did you deal with a lot of the emotions, particularly as it relates to us, the way we were projected throughout the course of this year, some of the intense moments as it relates to Black men in terms of the police violence, and then the reactions. Let's start with you, Derrick.
So my answer is really nuanced. And by that, I mean, how am I doing? I'm doing a lot of different things. My attitude, my mood, my thoughts sometimes change daily based on who I'm talking to and what I'm talking about. Sometimes I am resentful. Sometimes I'm disillusioned. Sometimes I'm hopeful. Sometimes I'm confused. Sometimes I'm feeling a certain kind of strong way about people who don't look like me. And I have to reconcile all of that based on what I'm doing while I'm feeling that way and who I'm talking to. So there's no high level global answer. I have clients and partners who don't look like me. And so I have to provide service and counsel and be professional. But if something has happened during the course of the day and I'm feeling a certain kind of way or having a certain thought processes about that, or have to reconcile it or have conversations, I have to make sure that I don't blur those lines. And it gets tough. And so the word I've used, and I don't mean any disrespect to anyone who is in this space, is a certain kind of schizophrenia, because I bounce all over the place oftentimes, and that's hard to reconcile. The thing that I try to do is be aware of the fact that I'm bouncing all over the place and catch myself before it goes left, or before I say something I can't take back, or before I let the genie out of the bottle. But anger often is an emotion that is pretty dominant. But Hosea, I'm all over the place. I'm all over the place, and I recognize I'm all over the place.
That's honest, brother. And, of course, I can relate to so much of what you just said, man. Ronald, give us your perspective, man. How you feeling, bro?
I think I share some of the sentiments that is it Mark? I'm sorry, I didn't.
That was Derrick.
Derrick.
That
Derrick, yeah. That Derrick just talked about. I think last year was a blur. That's what comes to mind. And I think I also went through feelings of numbness and shock and horror, and I felt like we were going back into the 60s, or even the 50s. It took you, it just brought back a lot of sad memories and a lot of things that happened in the past. And I think, we're still going through it. It feels like we're going through a tsunami of sorts. And the impact for me, what I've been doing is just diving into work and just working myself into a stupor to see if I can just forget what's going on around me. Because I think if you think too much of it or get embroiled in it, it could drive you crazy. So mental health is a big issue here in London. A lot of people have been, just going under. They just can't manage the stress of life, and with this pandemic and the lockdown, and I call it a plandemic, but that's just my version. I think a lot of it has been designed, and I'm looking at the way people of color are being treated around the world, and how all of a sudden it's about, yeah, you should get the vaccine first. It just reminds me of all the Tuskegee experiment and all the stuff that's happened in history. Yeah. So yeah, it's I have a range of emotions, and like Derrick, I think each day it changes. So last week I was cool, and following week I was just in shock horror. The week before that, just watching all the stuff unfold on Capitol Hill, just it was really shocking. And some of my brothers were saying, well, yeah, at least you're not in it, but we have a different sort of thing going on here. As you know, we have spoken before, the racism in the UK is quite subtle, but it's still there. And I think in America, at least you know where you stand somewhat. And here people are laughing with you and having tea, and then they're stabbing you in the back. So there's a range of emotions. And I think it's about, for as Black men, Black women, and Black families, we need to really keep our eyes open and wake up, because the time is now.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Mark, give us your perspective, man. Let us know how you feel, man. How you handling all this stuff, bro?
Brother Hosea, I echo much of what Brother Derrick and Ronald said. It depends on what month I'm in, sometime which week, sometimes one day, or what minute I'm in. From the very beginning, brother, I'd say mostly I felt anger. I mean, intense anger. I'm a lawyer by profession, as you know, and I'm a trial lawyer. I'm always in court, or I used to be always in court before the lockdowns. And let's just say that I'm glad that I'm not in court now, because most of the people that I see in the courthouse, judges and opponents and even some colleagues, do not look like me. And I'm so angry right now. Who knows what I would do if someone comes out of pocket with me and says something that I don't like. The bottom line, what's going on this year is, I think it's a wake-up call for us to see how people really, really think. Brother Ronald mentioned it just now, that it's subtle in many ways, but this has let people come out. I mean, I would never have imagined that these clowns terrorists would be so brazen as to actually make a move on the Capitol to literally obstruct democracy. That is still shocking to me. So to answer your question, brother, it's mostly anger, some shocking, but sometimes sad. But on the other hand, I look at it as a grand opportunity for us. I think Brother Ronald said the time is now. And I kind of look at it now with more of optimism by looking at 2020 as like a BC and an AD situation. That's how huge this can be. We could turn the corner and bring empowerment home based on what we saw in 2020. So I think the future is positive.
Okay, brother, all three of you brothers, right on point. Mark, right on point, man. Derrick, Ronald, we are at a crossroads. I totally agree. We are at a point right now where we recognize what we're fighting against. I think we were kind of somewhat deceived here in America. After Barack Obama, we felt we had made some major gains in this country. And I'm sure you can appreciate that over there in Great Britain, Brother Ronald. But we thought we had arrived. We thought we had kind of crossed that point. But we had a stark reminder in 2016 that now wasn't what we thought, and it became more and more apparent, and it really hit a zenith this past week. And we'll talk about that after the. You mentioned it, Mark, but I do want to get perspectives after this public service announcement. We'll be right back.
I already knew that I was going to go to college, from a young age. I definitely want to major in political science, become the mayor or something, make the situation better for other people. My name is Justin, and I am your dividend.
I see you mobbing over her. Let's go. Let's mob. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, we mobbing. Come on, girl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl.
Welcome back to this segment of Ignite, Empower, Transform. My name is Hosea James Givan II, and we are here with our first quarterly Black Men's Roundtable. We're going to open up this segment with a moving image that I was able to witness on Facebook a couple of days ago. Brothers, I would like for you to take a look at this graphic, and then we'll talk about it. We'll start with you, Mark. What are your thoughts, bro?
Well, brother, I saw this graphic recently myself, and I'm glad you showed it again. It reminds me of something that I've been thinking all along. I think you were you with me at the Million Man March? You went, didn't you, brother, if I remember correctly?
I did not, man.
I'm sorry, I could not remember. Forgive me.
But we've been on this crusade for, like
Yes,
I said,
indeed.
30 years. So I could understand if you thought I was there, because I was there in spirit.
It always amazes me when I go back to when I was there and the Million Man March. I think it was more than a million, but certainly there were a million Black men there, all in love and fellowship and unity and zero violence. It was nothing but love. All men, not women, all men. So how do we get from that to this? And so I always said to myself that it cannot be a coincidence. This had to be by design. We, in general, as Black men, have to deal with the fact that it seems like Black manhood has gone out of style. And not that I'm hating, and I love it, quite frankly, but Black womanhood is in style, big time. But I think we could do them both at the same time.
I agree.
Why can't we uplift our sisters? Because all of us supported that, and uplift men at the same time. Right. But I've heard with my own ears from some women that are close friends of mine, and they proudly say, many of them, not all, I don't need a man. I don't need a man. I'm like, what do you mean you don't need a man? I understand you don't need a man like you need air to breathe and you need water. I understand that. But how can you say you don't need a man? Well, I could do okay by myself. How do we let it get to this point? We didn't. I think manhood was under attack, and we have been victims of a war against Black manhood, but now we know it. So it's time for us to fight back.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, I again, brother, I think that recognizing the attempts to extinguish us is a reality. It's going it's post Reconstruction. It's been all out, and we're seeing it. We're seeing it in real time in today's world, and it certainly needs to be a major focus. Derrick, let's get your thoughts on that.
So that piece evokes so many emotions. I agree with everything that Mark just said. One of the first things that it did, and I saw it earlier as well, was remind me of one of my favorite books, The Envy of the World by Ellis Coase. And when you talk about the reality, which is maddening and confusing, Black men by society are often canonized on one end and demonized on the other.
Yeah, isn't that something?
You know, when you see the T-shirts that the young people are wearing these days, in particular, that say something along the lines of, they love our rhythm, but they don't want our blues. Stories here. I'm from Chicago, home of Michael Jordan. He's a peer in age, but how greater society could have men who don't look like us in a room. Michael Jordan walks in and they're all over him. They're fawning over him, especially in his heyday. They'd be willing and okay with him marrying their daughter who doesn't look like him because he's Michael Jordan. So he's canonized for who he is and what he does and the enjoyment they bring to him in life. But they leave and go to a parking lot to get in their car. They leave that event and they see a guy who looks just like him, and he angers him for a minute, and he's that end who just pissed him off. Right. So they just went from fawning over Michael Jordan to another brother who looks just like him, who's an end, and I'm gonna call the cops, and if you don't get the hell away from me. We're demonized and canonized all at the same time. Ellis Coase had it right. We are the envy of the world. But the burden that puts on us trying to occupy those spaces and trying to be who we are at the same time it gets us in that place where, you, as I said a little bit earlier, you can be schizophrenic in terms of your very existence if you don't reconcile that. And that anger that I talked about earlier has gotten me to a place, unfortunately, where in many respects, I'm not a good victim. So when something happens, it's very unlikely at this point in my life, in my career, that I'm going to ask you, why did you say that to me? Why did you talk to me like that? I don't believe you did that. Hosea, you know me from school. The F-bombs are flying.
Yep.
I'm standing up. I'm not backing down no matter who you are. I'm not a good victim anymore.
Right.
And I'm not talking about necessarily in the criminal sense. You're getting carjacked by somebody armed, the car goes. But I've gotten to that place. I have always been wired that way, but I'm even more so now. I'm a really poor victim right now. And society has gotten me that way. In closing, the guy who's leaving the White House in 3 days, as thin-skinned and narcissistic as he is, among other things, he fails to understand, he's got some mental health issues as far as I'm concerned, that for the anti-Trumpers, and I hate to even call his name, that as he puts it, you are the reason that people feel the way that they do toward you. You are the reason. He doesn't get that.
Right.
He plays the victim.
Right.
Go for it. We'll see you in Mar-a-Lago. I've just gotten to a place where I'm not a good victim. And, as Robin Harris, the late comedian, said, you don't want to be so angry that you sleep with your fist balled up. In your sleep, you're waiting for something to happen so you could jump up swinging. That's not good sleep. That takes a lot of energy to be pissed off all the damn time.
Right. Mm-hmm. Thank you for that, bro. Ronald.
When I looked at that statement, the first thing I thought of was some of the great writers. ISIS Papers, Dr. Cresswell Singh.
Mm.
And I thought of Haki Mahabuti, The Black Men, Obsolete, Single and Dangerous. Because I think we need to go that far back around the family. And I remember growing up as a child, as a family, every Sunday, if no other day in the week, everyone would sit around the dinner table and have a meal. We had dad, mom, children, cousins, aunt. It was a family. So you had your extended family as well as your, sort of immediate family. And then here we are 30, 40 years later, you have the kids are having meals in front of their television in the rooms with their Wi-Fi or their phones, and all the room doors are locked. You walk into a room or into a household. Now, my mom lives in Atlanta, and my sister's room door is closed. Mom room door, she's at the dining table. I might be there with her. My other sister's in a room. We're all separated. And so where is that family unit? And that's where I want to start from. So we're going through an era, we went through an era where a lot of the households were ran by women. And so we have to ask the question, then where are the men? How did they get on the outside?
Mm.
Where were the men's holding up? Where are the uncles? Because they were the patriarch of the family. So if my dad wasn't around and you were around, I had to listen to you. And if what you said went because you were my elder, the even basic things like coming in and respect, saying good afternoon or good evening, all of those things seems to have been erased. And when I think and I go back into on the continent and go back to Africa and seeing the eradication of just basic morals, that saddens me. And that statement evokes a lot. We are geniuses, we are doctors, we are statisticians, we are scientists. We built the world. It started from, the civilization back in Africa, from Egypt, or Kemet as it used to be called. Now they're calling it Egypt. So, we have suffered rape, pillages. They have raped our grandparents, our mums, our dads, everybody. And so I think the scar is still there. The residue of slavery is still there. And I think it's so entrenched in Black men, to some extent in Black women. And I think we're still processing that. But my goodness, when are we going to stop processing and just move on? So, yeah, that's part of my frustration. But it also goes on to say that we are working against so much hatred, downtrodden. Yes, I'm going to put you into this, section here. This is how I see you. And we've been categorized. They've stolen us, taken us from the motherland, told us to change our names. No, you're not Toby, you're Ronald. You're not Azuma, you are Derrick, you are Mark, and so you stripped us of our identity, and then you placed us here. You worked us to death and not paid us, because we're still owing trillions of dollars or pounds in terms of reparations. And then you still want to use us. You make us entertainers, and you want to just see us entertaining all the time, like you said earlier, and then not give anything back. And then you want to keep us down through voting suppressions and all of these different laws, and all these stuff is made up. The fight is still going on. And I keep saying to myself, when will it ever end? Will I ever live to see this? Will I ever have an opportunity to see Martin Luther King's word, one young Black man and one white man walk hand in hand, or a boy and a girl holding hands and walking down the street together of different races? It seems as if we are moving further and further apart from all of those things, in opposed to coming together. And I think as Black men, we need to sit. We don't do enough of this. We don't give up half an hour, enough of that on a Sunday, and sit and talk. We need to talk. We need to be open. We need to say to another Black man, I love you, without, thinking, oh my God, is he queer or whatever? Forget all of that stuff. I have a cousin that I took from Florida, and I took him over to Egypt. And he was like, why are the men walking and holding hands? I said, that's a beautiful thing. But that's how ignorant we have become, that we don't see. That's in culture. That's beautiful. Or when we go to France, you see when men meet, they kiss 2 times in each cheek. Oh my God, look at that. That's crazy. Really? Come on. You know, we need to open our minds and to look at the love that we came from in Africa. And perhaps if some of us went back there, I don't know, it's not the same how it used to be. Things have changed, but we're still soul searching. We're still trying to find ourselves. And I think that's probably the period of where we're at now. There's a lot of that going on, but again, I use that word tsunami because it's there, it's bubbling, and we're so caught up in it, and we're somewhere there in the universe, still trying to find ourselves. And I haven't even gotten started yet on the black man, black woman relationship, because even that's disintegrated to a certain extent. You know, women are saying, well, we don't need a man. You know, what does that mean?
I could
You
not,
know?
brother,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Do we have more time in this segment, Hosea?
Yeah, so I didn't want to cut off anybody because everything that
Sorry.
you guys were saying was so powerful, So, but I do have to say that this actual program is coming to an end. But,
Well, can I add something, brother? Well, for the moment, I just couldn't let this go by, if you don't mind.
Yes,
Brother
sir.
Ronald, I love what you touched on, brother, and Brother Derrick. But one thing you stated, you mentioned the word patriarch or patriarchy. Did you say that?
Yeah.
I think that's really one of our challenges as Black men. Are we willing to bring patriarchy back? And some sisters might oppose it because they don't understand what it really is.
Yeah.
We grew up in a patriarchy just
Yeah.
30 years ago.
Yes.
You know, at a family function, my father and my uncles, they were running the operation, even though in a way they weren't running it. But you know what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say.
Yes, absolutely.
Presence. And Brother Derrick, I love when you said, brother, that the time is over to be good victims. I've been sitting back for years watching this white supremacy, particularly, as you know, Ronald, in the criminal justice system, that the racism embedded in that. I ain't being silent no more. I'm not being a good victim. I'm not doing it. No. So both of those points were awesome, man.
Yeah.
Wow. We were truly blessed with some words of wisdom from some of the most brilliant, powerful Black men that I know. We're going to have to do this in 2 parts now. I couldn't get it all in one show. So tune in next week to Ignite, Empower, Transform. I am your host, Hosea James Givan II. And remember, if it's in your heart, do your part. Today's help equals tomorrow's hope. I love our youth. Power to the people.
Power to the people.
I see the future is really bright for me. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Thank you. You got a king?
Go fish!
It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.